Let's be real, your basic sim rig just isn't cutting it anymore. You want more immersion, more fun, but your pockets? Yeah. What if I told you you can make your own racing sim frame for under $200? Let me introduce you to my racing sim. Those of you out there who want to make this yourself, here is a complete list of tools and materials that you're going to need for the project. You're going to need a drill with the respective drill bits, measuring tape, Allen key and wrenches for your EMT conduit connectors, EMT conduit obviously for the frame itself, maker pipe connectors, nuts and bolts to bolt down your chair, a thin piece of plywood to mount your wheel on, and optionally, you can also create a 2x4 frame to mount a monitor on. So without further ado, here is the full build. Before I could actually start the build though, I had to take apart the old frame, the frame that I used when I was trying to make the go-kart. Here's a time lapse of the entire deconstruction of the frame. And at the end, this is what you're going to be left with. I will put a full cut guide on the screen with all the dimensions for the racing sim. As you may notice, you do end up with a lot of additional piping. This is perfect for if you make any mistakes during your cuts, and if you also wanted to add any add-ons in the future, you can use this leftover piping for that. Before we get into the base build, just a heads up, if you want to follow along or build this exact rig, I put together a full PDF guide with everything you need. It includes all the cut lengths, the full parts list, a complete step-by-step instruction booklet, and even future mods and project updates. Links are going to be in the description below, or you can visit nextvision.com to check it out. Alright, so let's begin with the actual build itself. Starting with the base, you're going to need 8 T connectors, 4 48-inch pieces of EMT conduit, and 2 24-inch pieces of EMT conduit. The 4 48-inch pieces of pipe will be used for the outside and the middle, while the 24-inch pieces of pipe will be used for the width. For this step, you're going to need to measure out 6 inches from each side. This is where you're going to place down the 2 T connectors that will connect the 2 48-inch pipes in the center. For this next step, I'm using a 12-inch piece of pipe. I'm drilling out 2 holes 6 inches apart. This will be used to mount my seat onto the frame. Okay, so before we move on with the rest of the build, let me just talk about what I actually didn't show in the video. I actually used 2 45-degree maker pipe connectors rather than using the 2 T connectors as I've shown in the video, right? This creates a slight angle when you mount on the seat, so it's more comfortable and it generally feels more immersive in my opinion, right? For those of you who want to make this racing sim yourself, I would recommend going this route rather than with just the flat bar. But either way you choose, the mounting process will be the exact same for both ways. After this, I'm going to start making the steering wheel column. This is where we're going to house the steering wheel. First up, you're going to need 2 adjustable hinge connectors and then 2 28-inch pieces of pipe. Also, at the end of those 2 28-inch pipes, to connect them, you're going to use another 2 T connectors and a 12-inch piece of pipe, as pictured. After this, I'm going to start working on the vertical support brackets. On the left side, you will need 1 T connector, a 12-inch piece of pipe, and another adjustable hinge connector. On the other side, what you're going to need is a T connector, a 5-inch piece of pipe, and another adjustable hinge connector. This side is much shorter than the other to allow you to get in and out of the racing sim easier. for those of you out there who enjoy using a manual shifter, I also added a attachment here that will allow you to mount a manual shifter to it. So off camera, I changed this, right? I took that off on here, right? You can see here, I was missing this piece, which you need to connect this to like a pipe, right? I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you can see, right? It's this piece. I was missing it. Not sure if it just got lost when I bought it. They just never sent it to me, or just lost it, right? So you can see T connector here, little piece of pipe on here, and then this piece connects to the pipe. This, right? This is where we're gonna put our piece of plywood, right? To place our gear shifter, sorry. I also moved it down a little more because this is super high up, right? This is a mock-up a T connector into a pipe, T, pipe, T, right? 3 T connectors when you can really just use one of these, right? And a T connector, which is all right. It's all right. Now we're gonna cut or place the pieces here where we're gonna place our plywood for our steering wheel. For this part, what you're gonna need is 4 T connectors, 2 2.5-inch pieces of pipe, and 1 16-inch piece of pipe. After this, what you're gonna need is 2 more T connectors and then a 16-inch pipe. Once you're done with that, drill out 2 holes as I have shown on screen. After that, what you're going to want to do is cut out a 8 by 16-inch piece of plywood. Then you're going to drill out the exact same 2 holes. Using 2 bolts, 2 washers, and 2 nuts, you're going to bolt the piece of plywood onto the pipe frame. The 2 holes that you see in the center are used to mount your steering wheel. This will vary based on the type of steering wheel that you're using. But yeah, at this point, your racing sim frame is done. All you have left to do is just bolt on your seats, mount on your wheel, and then put down your pedals, and you're done. Optionally, you can also spray paint it like I did. I spray painted it satin black to match with the rest of my setup. While this video plays, I kind of want to go over and talk about the future of this YouTube channel. Where I'm gonna go next, what I'm gonna do next, and is this the end of the racing sim? I have plenty of videos planned for the racing sim itself. The first one being the shifter mount. I am currently in the process of 3D modeling a shifter mount for the racing sim. That way I can actually use a gear shifter. After that, I am gonna 3D model a new wheel mount. The current setup that I have with the piece of wood, while very effective, can rattle a lot and kind of messes up the immersion. And for the time being, that's all I have planned for the racing sim. but obviously that can change very quickly. Also, I am currently in the process of designing the go-kart. The go-kart that I was supposed to make out of EMT Conduit, which I am no longer gonna be making out of EMT Conduit. Rather, I'm gonna buy a welder and learn how to weld for that. So I am super excited for the future of this channel. I will constantly be giving updates and sneak peeks on my Instagram and TikTok, so make sure you go and follow. Don't forget, the full racing sim guide will be posted on my website, so make sure you go check that out. But as for now, that is the full build. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you next time in my next build.